Somewhere, right now, a tanker truck is carrying enough gasoline to level a city block if everything goes catastrophically wrong. Yet millions of gallons of this explosive liquid are made, transported, and pumped every single day. The strange part isn't that gasoline is dangerous, it's how we manage to create it in the first place. Because gasoline doesn't come out of the ground. It has to be forced into existence inside massive refineries using extreme heat, crushing pressure, and chemical reactions so volatile that one mistake can trigger a deadly disaster. Every time you fill your tank, you're using the final product of one of the most dangerous industrial processes on Earth. Today, we're following that journey from crude oil buried deep underground to the fuel flowing from the nozzle in your hand. And once you see what it takes to make gasoline, you'll never look at a gas station the same way again. Before any of this starts, there's a problem. Oil doesn't sit in giant underground lakes. It hides inside solid rock, miles below the surface, completely invisible. So geologists do something incredible. They blast powerful sound waves deep into the earth and wait for them to bounce back off different layers of rock thousands of feet down. Sensors on the surface catch those echoes and translate them into detailed 3D maps of what's hidden underground. It's basically an MRI scan for the entire planet. But here's what most people miss. Even with all that technology, drilling is still a gamble. Companies spend millions, drill for weeks, and sometimes find nothing at all. When they do find something, the real danger begins. The drill doesn't punch straight down like a nail. It grinds through sandstone, granite, and rock layers that took hundreds of millions of years to form, fighting friction and heat the entire way down. Each section of pipe is about 33 feet long. Drilling through just one section can take anywhere from 20 minutes to over an hour, depending on what the bit is cutting through. Then the whole drill string gets pulled back up, a new pipe section gets bolted on, and it goes back down, again and again, sometimes hundreds of times before the well reaches its target depth. As it goes deeper, steel casing pipes get cemented into place along the walls, keeping different underground zones from mixing together. One mistake here, and the entire well becomes unstable. But here's where it gets interesting. The entire operation depends on something most people have never heard of: drilling mud. This fluid does 3 jobs at once. It cools the drill bit, it carries rock fragments back to the surface, and most importantly, it keeps pressure balanced inside the well. If that pressure balance fails, you get a blowout. Oil and gas erupt to the surface in an uncontrolled rush, capable of triggering fires and explosions on the spot. This isn't a hypothetical. It's the exact failure point behind some of the worst industrial disasters in history. So when a well finally reaches its target depth, and the pressure readings come back positive, it isn't relief. It's the start of a new kind of risk. In the beginning, oil pushes itself to the surface on its own. The pressure trapped underground is so intense, it does the work for free, no machinery required. But that doesn't last forever. Eventually, that natural pressure runs out, and engineers install pump jacks. The rocking metal structures you've probably seen scattered across fields in Texas and beyond. They look almost lazy, like they're barely working, but they're acting like giant mechanical syringes, pulling oil up from the depths with constant, rhythmic suction. Once it's on the surface, the crude still isn't usable. It's mixed with gases, including hydrogen sulfide, which is toxic enough to be lethal in concentrated amounts. That gas gets separated out immediately. What's left is raw crude oil, ready to travel, and travel it does, through pipeline networks stretching up to 600 miles, moving day and night, toward a place that looks less like a factory and more like a small city. The tower that takes liquid apart. The world's largest refineries cover areas close to 4,000 square miles. Inside, they can process 600,000 barrels of crude oil every single day. But the real transformation happens in one structure: the distillation tower. Crude oil gets superheated to over 700 degrees Fahrenheit and pumped into the bottom of this tower as vapor. As it rises, it cools, and as it cools, different molecules separate at different heights, like layers settling in a cake. The heaviest, thickest compounds drop out first, destined to become asphalt and heavy fuel oil. Moving upward, diesel condenses, then jet fuel, then kerosene, and right near the top, where it's coldest, the lightest molecules condense into something familiar: gasoline. From a single barrel of crude, refineries pull out roughly 19 gallons of gasoline, 10 gallons of diesel, and 5 gallons of jet fuel, plus dozens of other products hiding in everyday life. Plastics, lubricants, even the asphalt under your car. But that gasoline still isn't done. The test that can send it back. Every batch gets run through combustion engines to check something specific: its octane rating. That's the number you see plastered on every pump. Octane measures how resistant the fuel is to knocking when gasoline ignites too early inside an engine cylinder, causing damage over time. If a batch fails that test, it doesn't move forward. It gets sent back for adjustment. Only fuel that passes gets cleared to leave the refinery. Once it's cleared, valves open, and the gasoline starts moving through underground pipelines toward loading terminals. This is where things get genuinely dangerous. The most dangerous 20 minutes. Filling a tanker truck is far riskier than filling your car. As gasoline pours into the truck's massive metal tank, the friction generates static electricity. And static electricity, near gasoline vapor, can be enough to trigger a catastrophic explosion. One spark. That's all it takes. To prevent that, every tanker is fitted with grounding cables that discharge static buildup before it becomes a threat. Overflow sensors instantly cut the flow if a tank reaches capacity. And a secondary system called a vapor recovery line captures escaping fumes before they can ignite or pollute the air. Every day, around 1 million gallons of gasoline leave refineries this way, rolling out across the country in trucks that are essentially mobile bombs, managed by systems most drivers never think about. The final 20 feet. When that truck finally pulls into a gas station, hoses lock onto underground storage tanks, valves open, and gravity does the rest, pulling fuel silently down into tanks buried beneath the pavement. By the time it reaches that point, your gasoline has already survived a journey most people can't imagine. It's been blasted with sound waves to be found, drilled through rock older than humanity, pulled from the ground like blood from a vein, heated past 700 degrees and torn apart molecule by molecule, tested for failure, and hauled across hundreds of miles in a truck that could ignite from a single static spark. And all of that, just so you can stand at a pump for 90 seconds, barely paying attention, while one of the most engineered and dangerous substances on the planet flows quietly into your tank. Next time you fill up, you won't just be buying fuel. You'll know exactly what it took to get there.